Hey everyone, welcome back to Wally Global. Today is April 24th, 2025, and you're watching our first episode regarding Singapore Takes Side. In today's video, we're diving into a major geopolitical shift. Singapore, long seen as neutral, appears to be taking a side, and it's not China's. At the center of this shift is Ho Ching, the influential wife of Singapore's former Prime Minister Hsien, who just shared a powerful article criticizing Xi Jinping's leadership. This move has raised eyebrows across Asia and beyond. Let's unpack what's going on and why it could spell serious trouble for China's global ambitions. So, what exactly happened? Ho Ching, not only a former top executive of Singapore's sovereign wealth fund, but also one of the most respected figures in the region, shared an explosive article on social media. The article title is China would hold more sway in the world today if Xi Jinping hadn't acted like a mob boss for the past 12 years. It openly criticizes China's behavior under Xi, from military aggression and broken trade promises to clumsy diplomacy, and it's especially harsh about China's recent attempts to cozy up to Southeast Asian nations. Here's where it gets really significant. Singapore has always walked a tightrope, close ties with both the US and China, while maintaining strict neutrality. So when someone like Ho Ching makes such a bold public statement, it's not just personal opinion, it's a message. And for China, that message is alarming. Singapore is a key financial and shipping hub. Chinese trade, energy, and capital often flow through Singapore. Strategically, it sits near the Strait of Malacca, a choke point for global trade and energy supplies, including China's oil. And politically, Singapore has been a model admired by Beijing, a proof that authoritarian governance can coexist with global trust. If Singapore begins to pull away, China risks losing credibility not only in Southeast Asia, but also in the global South. This isn't just a diplomatic blow, it's a reputational one. And in diplomacy, reputation is leverage. The article Ho Ching shared wasn't random either. It was written by Michael Petrarius, a Polish commentator with deep awareness of authoritarian regimes, particularly Russia and China. He compares Xi Jinping to a mafia boss, not metaphorically, but structurally, saying Xi has run China's diplomacy like a protection racket. And now that things are falling apart, he's trying to win back allies with charm, but no one's buying it. The article breaks down what many have observed, but few in power have said out loud: territorial aggression in the South China Sea, broken WTO promises, forced tech transfers, debt trap diplomacy through the Belt and Road, backing Russia in its war against Ukraine. This isn't a list of minor infractions, it's a pattern. And it's a pattern that's made China one of the least trusted powers in international politics today. The author also draws a fascinating comparison between Xi Jinping and Donald Trump, not to praise either, but to say this: just because many dislike Trump doesn't mean Xi is the answer. Trump may be unpredictable, but the US still tends to honor deals. China, on the other hand, has a reputation for manipulating partners and breaking agreements. And when the world sees that both options are flawed, they look to trust as the deciding factor. The article points out that Xi isn't just struggling in Asia, now he's losing Europe too. His support of Putin's war in Ukraine and the suggestion that China may be helping Russia skirt sanctions have pushed many European leaders to rethink their ties with Beijing. This includes France, Germany, and especially countries like Poland, which view China's actions as directly threatening to Western stability. Here's the big takeaway: China is not just facing tough questions about its economy or military, it's facing a crisis of trust. Even neutral powers like Singapore are starting to distance themselves, and once that shift begins, others will follow. China may still have economic power, but its soft power, its moral authority, and its alliances, they're all starting to crumble. The most alarming part for Beijing isn't just symbolic, it's strategic. If Singapore leans toward Washington, it becomes much easier for the US to deepen military and intelligence cooperation right at China's doorstep. Singapore already hosts American naval assets and regularly conducts joint exercises. A more explicitly pro-US Singapore could quietly open the door to a stronger regional containment strategy, one that Beijing has long feared. And it's not just about defense. If Singapore signals to Southeast Asian economies that it no longer fully trusts China, that could trigger a regional realignment in trade and tech partnerships. Smaller ASEAN nations often look to Singapore for cues. And if Singapore pivots, countries like Malaysia, Vietnam, and Indonesia might hedge further against China and build closer ties with US-led frameworks like the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, IPEF. For China, this means not only diplomatic isolation, but potential economic decoupling from its own backyard. History tells us that when powerful nations lose face internationally and struggle internally, the risks grow. Economic slowdown, global isolation, and rising domestic pressure can push governments into unpredictable territory. We're not forecasting conflict, but it's important to ask the hard questions now, before it's too late. So what happens next? Will more countries follow Singapore's lead? Will China double down or course correct? Only time will tell, but we'll be here to break it down with clarity and depth. Thanks for watching Wally Global. If you found this episode insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Until next time, stay informed and stay sharp.